There's one thing I can't stand that I do is that I take crappy video at times on this channel. Now, I don't mean to do it, and the reason why that happened in my last video was because I used this 25mm f/0.95 manual focus lens. Yes, a manual focus lens, and that's why I had trouble, because when you're doing a manual focus, you have to have it perfect. You have to have it dialed in at 100%, which I thought I had done before I started recording in my last video, and I was wrong. This is an SLR Magic lens. So this is a really good lens, and I love this lens. And I originally got this lens to do short story videos and to do like little cinematic videos, but I never really used this lens as much as I wanted to use it on this channel. So I thought, hey, why not film a video with me using this lens, because it's a 25mm lens and I'm using a micro four thirds camera. And what that means is micro four thirds cameras have a 2x crop factor. So in reality, this 25mm lens is actually shooting at 50mm, and these are a lot cheaper than any other mount that you would use, you know, for a 50mm. Now, I do have a Canon 50mm lens. I do have a really good Canon lens, but it's manual, you know, and I have to manually focus, and it's a 50mm lens, which means it's 100mm on my micro four thirds camera, because remember, it's ×2. So that's why you always step it down if you want to double on micro four thirds cameras, because it's got a 2x crop factor. So in reality, with most full frame cameras and most full frame lenses, they're going to use 50mm, and again, this is 25, but I can get 2x out of it, which is 50. So it was a mistake on my part, right? And that's why I think I'm getting away with using manual lenses, just for that very reason. Now, the lens I'm shooting on right now is a Sigma 16mm f1.4. You're going to notice the blurry background in this video because I have it set all the way open at 1.4, which gives you that depth of field look, if you will, and it has the focus on me. Now, I'm shooting on a Lumix G85, which isn't the best as far as autofocuses go, you know, but it works well for me, and I have face tracking on right now, so right now it's tracking my face, and it does a fairly good job keeping me within focus. You know, this is probably my favorite lens. So my favorite lens, my go-to lens, what I'm shooting with my big boy camera, is going to be the Sigma 16mm lens f1.4. Now, I can go out and get a 25mm Panasonic one. I think they make a f1.7, I believe, you know, an autofocus camera that'll give me that 50mm look. I may or may not get that, but, you know, just food for thought. When you're shooting with micro four thirds and you decide to put on that manual lens, make sure you are dialed in, because unfortunately there's no way for me to tell. Now, there is a way I can sync up the Panasonic Lumix app with my camera, and I can tell when I'm in focus when it's an autofocus lens. However, when it's a manual focus lens, like this lens is, there's no way to tell. And unfortunately, you're not going to know what the video is going to look like until you edit it, unless it looks bad. And in my case, it looked bad. I should have just reshot the video, and I should have just went ahead and redid it, but I didn't want to. And I thought, why not capitalize on the video I just did and talk about why it could be a bad idea to film a YouTube video with a manual lens. Now, if you're behind the lens and you can see exactly what's going on, or you can use your viewfinder on your camera, it's perfect. You know, you can get it dialed in perfect. If you're filming another subject or you're filming something else, you know, when you're behind the camera, it's a lot easier to see. Now, I did have my LCD screen open when I filmed my last video, and what I thought looked focus and what the camera thought it looked focus was totally two different things. So I was surprised. I was very surprised. I'm usually really good with using manual focus, lenses, but I have to say that was an epic fail. That was a fail on my end, and I wanted the video to be a learning experience, and that's why I put in the comments, sorry, my bad, rookie mistake, which it is. It's a rookie mistake. I've been, I have over 500 videos, 500 plus videos on this channel, and it was a rookie mistake. Now, again, I don't use manual lenses that much, and that's probably why I don't, because I suck at it. So, lesson learned. So I think I might have had this off just by a hair, and that hair unfortunately will make a difference. I actually went out and I looked for software to try and clean it up, AI software. They only gave me like 30 seconds free, and the rest I had to go out and buy a program and so forth. Now I could have bought the program, but I'm like, you know what, whatever. I'm just going to upload it, roll with it, put it in a comment that I messed up. I'm going to pin it, and I'm just going to move on, right? Because I wanted the point to be across, I want to get the point across on my last video that it wasn't really about me being within focus. It was about a totally different subject matter. So I thought that's why I would take the time to film this video and just say, if you're going to get a manual lens, whether it's a Micro Four Thirds or a full frame sensor camera, just make sure you know what you're doing, and check your settings, check it. A really good way to do that is to film yourself. Go back, pull out the SD card, pop it in your laptop, check it, and see if you're within focus. If you're not, you have to make those fine-tune adjustments and just keep going back and forth until it's 100%. I could have done that, but I didn't. I was feeling lazy for whatever reason, so I did not do that. I had this open all the way, but the focus just wasn't as crisp as I wanted it to be. It was a total fail, and it could have been the white balance, playing a factor into that. It could, but I have a feeling it was just this little knob right here, which does the focus. I did not, the background looks great, but I look terrible, right? I looked really, really, really bad in that last video. It almost looks like I have a white filter or a skin filter over my face, and I didn't do anything. I did a little bit of color grading on the last video that I did. I'll include it in the description of this video so you can kind of get an idea of what I did wrong. And if you thought it was autofocus, if you thought it was a focus issue, let me know. If you thought it was a white balance issue, let me know. I just think that, again, the background came in really nice at 0.95, but I didn't. Let me get the box. I'll show you exactly what box this lens came in. Just give me 1 second. So the manual lens is actually a SLR Magic Hyper Prime lens, 25 millimeter. It's a cine lens. So this is the camera lens that I used in my last video, and again, I thought about making several different videos with this lens, and I just need to get a little bit better with it. This is where I leave this video. If you found it to be any value, if you found me talking about lenses to be of any value, it may or may not help you, grow your YouTube channel. It depends what you want to do. I know a lot of us are using our phones, being authentic, but if this is something that you're into, let me know in the comments. If you want to see more content like this, let me know in the comments. Please give me a thumbs up. As always, you know what to do. Later.